Hi guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Paulie Antiques Show, where I'm going to talk about my move to New York. I moved there by myself with only a backpack of what I could carry, so for the next 2 months I just wore whatever I could fit into my backpack. I'll show you the backpack right now actually. This is called a French rucksack, and it's used by a soldier in the French army, so I got it for about $20 at Champagne Surplus. And you'll probably find these at any army surplus store. Just make sure you inspect them because they're always used. It has this nice really big flap right here which you can fit a lot of things in, clothes, accessories, your makeup, anything you have to take out in order to carry it on the plane. And you always want to put all of your toiletries in a bag. So I would recommend putting those in here if you need to take something out really quickly, anything that you might need at a moment's glance. As you open up the bag, it has these ties which tie over the top, so there's really no limit as long as you can close the bag with these ties. This is the way the bag normally looks. This looks pretty big, but in reality it can double in size. So in reality you can fill it about 2/3 of the way of this and still get away with it on your back. As long as you can fit it on your back, you're golden to fly with it. And I definitely heard that rule before I moved there, so I just brought this bag, and I also brought a carry-on, so you can have 2 carry-ons, at least in the USA, for no charge with your flights. And there's also another compartment here which you can fill with something as well. And it's also nice because there's a handle on the side too if you want to carry it, and these straps adjust, and it also has straps that go across your back. So anyway, so that's what I used to move to New York with. So I was pretty good for about 2 months with that. I mean, I just kept on wearing the same clothes over and over again, and it did get a little annoying, but you know what, that's moving somewhere, you know, like 800 or 900 miles away from where you live with just one backpack. I did start to have trouble with my back after a while because I was carrying so much weight on it constantly. So now I'm going to start talking about things that I didn't know beforehand before I moved there. In places with really tall buildings and lots of air conditioners, like for me especially when I worked in Chelsea, all the tall buildings had tons and tons and tons of air conditioners. And those air conditioners, when you walk underneath them, will drip on your head, and you will get it in your eye and get it on your face, and there's just no stopping these dripping air conditioners. It's just a sea of dripping air conditioners, and I'm sure you'll find that anywhere you go, but really in any metropolitan city that has really tall buildings and has air conditioning available, you're going to find that the air conditioners are going to drip on you, so don't walk too close to a building. On escalators, you stand to the right and walk on the left. So if you're just standing on the escalator, you need to make sure that you're standing on the right hand side so people who are walking down the escalator can have free space to do that. Always wear your walking shoes to work. I never wore heels to work to begin with, but I walked so much that I wore out at least 1 pair of shoes in 2 months. So definitely, you know, make sure you're taking care of your feet because there's a lot of walking in New York City, constant walking, unless if you're, you know, built of money and you can take a cab everywhere. Don't ever expect to meet your boss if you have an internship. I was really silly and I expected that possibly Lori Goldstein would be the one interviewing me for my internship, but no, I'm from a really small town in Illinois, and I should have known better that really famous stylists and designers and all that and that kind of field, they don't have time to meet their interns because their personal assistants hire the interns and manage the interns. Bring a rolling bag for your luggage if you have a lot. I personally moved to New York City not knowing where I would be sleeping that night. You just don't want to bring a lot with you if you don't know where you're going to be staying. I mean, I knew I had friends who would let me stay with them, but you know, they're busy too, and that was in August when everyone's on vacay, or in the Hamptons. You don't want to weigh down your back too much. You want to try to be as free as possible. For me, that's really hard because I hate wearing the same thing like twice in a week, and I definitely had to do that. I definitely had to sacrifice on what I had to bring to achieve my goal of moving. I emailed a lot of people on Craigslist about finding a place, and they always want security deposits, a lease. For me, I did not have the money to put a security deposit down. I did not want to sign a lease because I didn't know whether I wanted to live there for a year or 6 months or whatever. I found that as soon as I emailed people, only 1 in 7 people would actually reply to me on Craigslist about a place. I found that it was really helpful to go through someone who was called Delta Room Rentals in Hamilton Heights. I didn't have to sign a lease, I didn't have to put down a security deposit, I just paid week to week to week. It was perfect for what I needed, and it was in Manhattan. It wasn't too far away from Chelsea. It was only about 30 minutes on the subway. Anywhere north of Harlem is no man's land, unless if you're going to Columbia University or the Cloisters in Washington Heights. There's really nothing to do northern. It's okay to live there, but really you need to know if you are living in northern Manhattan and commuting to Brooklyn, it's going to be a long subway ride, and that takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot of energy and time out of your day. I've never had to use the loo as badly as I did in New York City. Most places do not offer a public restroom. Other places you have to be a paying customer to use the restroom. Even at some places, if you do buy something, then they don't have a public restroom. You're going to be holding it for a really long time. There are no bathrooms in the subway. There might be a possible exception to that, which I may have seen on Wall Street. Mostly in the subway there are no bathrooms, and that's why you'll constantly smell the smell of urine, because the people who don't currently have housing, aka the homeless population, they get on the train and they ride the trains for shelter, and when they have to go to the bathroom, they get off their train, they go to the underpass, they go to the bathroom there. I'm sure it only gets worse in the winter time because they don't want to have to get off the subway and have to come back in and pay again because they don't have the money. So you'll be encountering that, and you'll be encountering a lot of people who are homeless on the subway who might smell really bad, but that's up to you to change cars at the next stop. There was no Aldi or anything. It's all like Gristedes and Duane Reade. Your bodega is like a little tiny grocery store that is usually pretty expensive, but that's where I did most of my shopping, and that's what it's called in New York. It's a bodega. There's really no Walmart around that I could find. It was kind of bizarre to me how I couldn't find a Walmart or an Aldi. I wasn't used to that lifestyle, but eventually I got used to it, and I might go back to it, so I don't know. Just depends on how badly you want to live in that city and how inspired you are to achieve your goal, whatever it may be. That was my experience living in New York and moving to New York by myself and living there for about 3 months. If you have moved to a big city and had similar experiences, please share that with us as well. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!